Hey guys, really quick, I just wanted to explain my thoughts on Overwatch 2 because I feel like a lot of the opinions coming out don't seem like they're coming from people who spent a lot of time in Overwatch 1, because if they did, they'd probably understand why Overwatch 2 is such an amazing sequel. Now obviously there are problems, it's not a perfect game and it didn't release perfectly, but overall the game is really good, and I think a lot of people are overlooking this because the game doesn't look like it has that many changes. Oh, they don't have 20 new heroes to make sure balance perfectly with every other hero and ability in the game. Oh my god. But the reason I'm making this video is just to show people who didn't really have that much experience with Overwatch 1 why Overwatch 2 is still a really good game, even though a lot of the opinions around that game seem like, oh, it looks the exact same. I don't understand why they called it Overwatch 2.
I'm gonna use the fucking...
Oh, again.
I don't want. Behind you.
I can't see her, bro. Oh, there's
Where?
I got her.
Oh.
Dude, I wasted my ult, bro. That was dumb.
I wasted my time.
I wasted my. Wait, we used 5.
I wasted mine.
Oh, shit.
We used 5 ults.
Anyway, let me not waste any more time, but the main thing that's different from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 is Overwatch 2 obviously has one less character. In Overwatch 1, each team had 6 heroes, while in Overwatch 2, there are 5 heroes. Now, this has a lot of different effects on gameplay, but this leads me to understand why they wouldn't just make this an Overwatch 1 update. In most games within the genre, like Counter-Strike or Valorant, they wouldn't just change the amount of players per team and just call that an update. I mean, have you ever seen in a Counter-Strike game them change it from 5v5? Nah, for this new update, we were just spitballing and eventually decided to delete a whole ass teammate. It's just a minor update though, don't worry, just try to forget he's not there. Also, if you're the second best tank player on a pro team, sorry, your career is officially out the meta. They would never do that. If they're ever going to do that, which they probably won't, because obviously Counter-Strike as a series is very set in its ways, but if they were going to do that, it would be in a new game. So that's the same with Overwatch 2. Yeah, I don't even know. I know they're gonna re-peek out of flank, but I don't care. Holy okay. If you were playing Overwatch 1 near the end of its life cycle like I was, you know there are some massive issues that are kind of making the game feel a little bit boring. And the main issue for me and a lot of players that I talk to is that you had to spend so much damn time shooting at shields. In Overwatch 1, there were 2 tanks per team, and the vast majority of the tanks, especially the tanks that tended to be in the meta, usually had shields, and half the time, if you're playing DPS or even support, you're just spending all of your time shooting at the enemy team's shields, and because they had 2 tanks, each with their own shield, it just became really boring, because everybody likes shooting at actual heroes, because that obviously takes way more skill, and it's not like you're just shooting at a wall. Oh, this is not impressive. Oh, no, not aimbot. Oh, yeah. Look at this aim! Look at this aim! This aim! No shields in sight. Now in Overwatch 2, they did the most amazing thing. They removed one of the heroes, but not one of the heroes of the more fun roles like DPS or healer. They removed one of the tanks, and what they did was they made a solo tank, but that one solo tank, each hero within the tank role was buffed. So Zarya had double the bubbles, Roadhog had more healing, Winston had new abilities, D.Va's gun became stronger. Most of them also got more health, as well as having passives that allowed them to be a little bit tankier and a little bit stronger, like they were the actual leader of the team, instead of just being one of the 2 shield generators for your team.
You think I could jump to the? Okay, I'm gonna try this. If I die, call the cops.
If you
Call the cops.
What the fuck?
Now because Overwatch 2 has these amazing tanks and only has one of them per team, now all of a sudden, my second issue with Overwatch 1 has also been fixed simultaneously. Isn't that fantastic? Role queue in Overwatch 1 was a pretty miserable experience because everybody had to play tank or healer, which weren't as fun roles, compared to DPS, which had like an 8 or 9 minute long queue, just because everybody wanted to play DPS, because those are generally the most fun heroes in the game. A lot of the time, even the queue for healer was too long just because nobody wanted to queue for tank, because all you're doing as tank was holding up your shields and playing probably the least fun role in the game. Now in Overwatch 2, a role queue is way better, not only because there is no stupid priority pass, but since all the tanks have been buffed and there's only 1 tank per team, a lot more people are trying to play tank, so pretty much all the roles are pretty highly requested. I mean, tank does have the longest queue, and then it's DPS, and then it's healer, but it's way more balanced than it used to be, and I can get into a tank game really fast, much faster than I could ever get into a game on DPS in Overwatch 1. So overall, role queue has been dramatically improved because they've incentivized players to play the role that previously nobody wanted to play. Now you can queue for DPS whenever you want, you can queue for healer, and healer is actually, the quickest queues if you want to get into a match fast. But across the board, that's a massive, massive win for role queue, because if you actually want to play a hero, you don't have to be like, okay, well, I do want to play McCree today, but I don't want to wait 15 minutes to get into a single Overwatch match where my tank is throwing, so I'm just going to queue for support every time, because I'd rather play 4 games in a row as support than barely getting into even a single one as DPS. Reset. I'm getting my ass chased. Oh.
Sensational.
The shield spam meta has been fixed, tanks are actually way more fun, role queue is actually usable. I mean, these changes alone make the game dramatically better, but the best part is, that's not the end of it. In Overwatch 1, there was no stats, so even if you were performing really well, your teammate's like, oh, why are you playing that hero? You're not even doing well, when you might just be an insane tracer, and you're doing crazy, you're getting a gold, but nobody believes you, and they don't trust you. So now, you can actually just check stats in-game to see how your entire team is performing, who has the most DPS, who has the most healing, is their healers doing better, are our healers doing better, who has a lot of DPS, is the tank absolutely carrying, and yeah, while this may give opportunity for players to bully each other like, oh, you're not healing enough, maybe you should switch, yeah, that could happen, I overall just think transparency for the players is of utmost importance, because having the information of who's doing damage, who's doing healing, who's not really pulling their weight, all this stuff is really, really important, especially for a competitive arena shooter. I don't know if it's technically an arena shooter, I mean, I saw it on a list for the best arena shooters before, so, but I digress. Pretty much every other competitive shooter has a scoreboard for a reason, and being transparent with players on how each person is performing is really important for a competitive game. So I'm really glad they have that change, and I'm glad that I could bully my enemies saying they don't have as much DPS as me, they suck ass.
Why there, Widow? Widow won. Not one.
Yo. Oh my god,
Wow,
this team, bro.
This guy's already
God.
complaining, and he's not even sitting down.
This
guy hasn't even sat down to game. He doesn't even have his headphones on, and he's complaining about his team. Typical Overwatch player,
How does he know?
Damage heroes in Overwatch 2 move a little bit faster, which just makes the game a little bit quicker and inherently more fun, in my opinion, because I like fast-paced games. Ironic because I play so much Valorant. And healers also get passive healing, which is really useful to improve their survivability, but that's another issue I'm going to talk about why it's not really that good in some... I'll talk about it later, but the point is, that is a good change because you need healers to be a little bit stronger, especially since they don't have 2 tanks protecting them at all times.
You better keep up. This isn't a daycare.
Kids can surprise you.
Then I better not be disappointed.
Kids also disappoint you.
This is not a daycare. It's on the left. And I nearly forgot probably the best change in Overwatch 2, which was the massive reduction in CCs. If you didn't know, in Overwatch 1, they had so many ways to CC or crowd control your enemies, which is so irritating to fight against. You could get McCree stunned, you can have Mei freeze you, you could be shield bashed and stunned by Brigitte, you could be slammed by Doomfist, you could be knocked out by Hammond. There's just a bunch of different ways to stun you, which make the game so much slower and way more frustrating to play when you get stunned by like 3 people at once. Now, all the stuns have not been completely removed from the game, and the majority of them are now just like displacements. Like, for example, Wrecking Ball is still in the game and he still can slam, but it's not like you get stun locked by one hero in place and then another hero jumps in and stun locks you again just to make you want to ult F4 as soon as possible. There's way less of that, and McCree, now he has tracking grenade, which is way better to fight against. Mei can no longer freeze you, she can only slow you down, and Mei is still pretty good if you know how to use her properly. So now playing against these heroes is way more fun and way less frustrating, and if you're playing as these heroes, unfortunately, you can't just use stupid stuns which are super low skill. You have to, believe it or not, actually fight an enemy they can fight back. I know, it's crazy. I know, it's really challenging, but sometimes you gotta do that. And overall, just having the game not have half the heroes be able to stun you is a really, really welcome change that makes the game way less frustrating and way more fun. Now, the game is not perfect as you'd expect, especially on day 1 where you could barely get into the game, but a lot of people were putting out reviews and their opinions of the game before they could even really play it. And yeah, it's really irritating that on the first day the game is released, you can't even really play it, but now that the game's in a much more stable state, I mean, I feel like the game is in a really, really good place. It's way more fun than it used to be, and the maps are good, the heroes are good. I'm glad they didn't add too many heroes, because the more heroes you have, the more million ways you have to bounce around every other hero and every other ability in the game. So I'm glad they didn't focus on just throwing as many heroes as possible. I'm glad they focused on how to fix the actual fundamental underlying issues with Overwatch 1, and they actually did a pretty good job in Overwatch 2, in my opinion. Is Overwatch 2 perfect? Obviously not. Are there things they could work on? Yes. Is the robot pushing game mode the worst game mode they've ever added to the series? Of course. I hate that so much as a healer when they have 2 damage characters that are just meant to flank me through the convoluted map. But you get the point. Dude, I'm gonna whoop this. This McCree really thinks he can 1v1 me? Okay, I'm running. He's right. He could. Oh, Hanzo's right side. Hanzo's right side. Oh, Hank is behind. What? Dude. Good job. I don't even know what the hell's going on. Oh damn! I love the spawns in this map, guys. That's so much fun, especially for characters that don't move that fast. Now, one of the biggest changes that's not specific to the actual gameplay is the new Battle Pass system, which effectively replaced the loot box system from Overwatch 1, and in my personal opinion, it's complete trash. I hate it so much. I'm never gonna spend a dime on a Battle Pass. I loved being able to get loot boxes for free and getting as many skins as I wanted, but keeping in mind the fact that Overwatch 2 is free, it will give a lot more people the opportunity to get into the game without having to spend anything, and let's not forget that that's also probably gonna help queue times because more people are gonna get the chance to play the game. Obviously, Blizzard isn't doing this out of the goodness of their heart. We know they don't have too much of that, but probably just because it's been the most successful monetization strategy of most FPS games in recent years. But I can't help but be optimistic about the fact that just a lot more people are going to get the chance to play the game. The microtransaction shop can't be that bad, right? I mean, Hey, okay, you know what? There are some positives. At least it's so bad that I have no inclination to ever buy anything from this store. Oh man, these are 2,000 bucks. What was before an entirely free skin is now $20 after being a free skin for years, effectively. Damn. If you actually want to get skins in Overwatch 2, I recommend you be a little bit more picky this time around. The vast majority of new content that Blizzard has been working on has been invested into the co-op version of the game, and while it's not very Blizzard-like to release only the PvP version while the co-op version is still being worked on, honestly, for me, I'm pretty glad that I get the chance to play the PvP version, which is fun and which is a much more refined version of Overwatch 1, while they're still working on the co-op, instead of just waiting another year or two for both of them to be packaged together in a much nicer package. Is it dumb that they released Overwatch 2 without a sequel's worth of content? Yeah. Is the game's release a reflection of what they would have dropped in Blizzard's golden years? Probably not, but am I glad that we finally get the chance to try what is a far more refined version of Overwatch 1 for free, while they get to continue to work on the most exciting parts of the sequel? Yeah, I am, and I think a lot of people are appreciating the response, even if it's not everything they've worked on.
Oh shit.
Paul, can you drop me?
Percy, I would not take any of that. I would not take any of that.
Got muted?
Give me a mercy doesn't mean, oh, go heal the random guy on 75 HP. He doesn't want anybody getting healed by himself. Bro really said, don't heal.
Absolute trash. Yeah, you still think solo queue is fun?
I love these people, bro. This is incredible. It seems to be getting a lot of hype across Twitch and YouTube. A lot more people are talking about it. A lot more people are playing Overwatch, and especially compared to the state the game was in right before Overwatch 1 is effectively killed. It seems like the game and the community are alive again, even if the content isn't really there to match. I don't know, maybe I'm just being optimistic, but I am having a lot of fun in Overwatch, and pretty much everybody I see playing it seems to have a pretty good time with it, so, you know, I think it's not that bad. And even though it doesn't have all the content that's worthy of a Blizzard sequel, it still is a really good game, and I think we have to give props for that. Or at least I will. I mean, I might just be insane, I might be a little bit overly optimistic, or I might be sponsored. You know, that's what a lot of you guys are gonna say, so, you know, that's up for you to decide. Overall, the game is really good, in my opinion. If you've played a lot of Overwatch 1, you're probably very, very welcome to see these Overwatch 2 changes. I'm not a genius at game design, though. I'm not pretending I know exactly how the game should be functioned. This is just my personal feelings and the feelings of pretty much all my friends and all the players I've talked to. So, I mean, there's a good few testimonials, but what do you guys think? Have you played Overwatch 1 before? Do you think the game is a lot better? Do you think the changes aren't enough? I just think this kind of conversation should be explored with a little bit more nuance, a little bit more depth than just, they add nothing to game, why? And yeah, admittedly, that's kind of constructing a little bit of a strawman argument for my opposition, but you get the point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys all so much for watching. It's been Shakes, and yeah, happy gaming and have a lovely day.